Well, I think that the thing that really brought this to a head was the fact that the membership vote was ignored, and I think this is really what brought this entire groundswell into being, which culminated in our court case today.
Has your lawyer indicated what he will do in case CTD fights this temporary injunction?
We really haven't done a great deal of discussion about what will happen right now. We'll just have to wait and see what does develop.
I got a personal incident myself. I got a little crippled girl. She's been paralyzed for 8 years. And I needed help financially, and he'd pitch in himself, and they'd run a basket, and just kind of family club.
Take up money.
Take up money for anybody that had trouble. He'd take up money for them, regardless of how minor or major it was. We'd all kick in, and kind of help each other.
This program makes everyone feel that you are unique, that you are somebody, that you do have something important to contribute that you in your special way and only you can do. And I think that it also teaches that we can concentrate on our similarities and appreciate our differences.
What kind of man was Louis Stratton?
He was a fine man. Police is broken. Unless the IRA come in and sabotage.
WBNX area. Yes, Clive, one more question now. We forgot to ask.
I am pleased to withdraw previous communications.
Tom Murray started his independent postal system of America in 1968 as a challenge to the U.S. Post Office. He said then that he could do a better job of delivering bulk mail, and since then some people, including giant corporations such as Kroger's, Sears, and Montgomery Ward, have tended to agree with him. Today, from the Dallas IPSA office, Murray started a new service, facsimile transmission. The piece of paper transmitted looks a lot like a Xerox copy. The difference is that this piece of paper ends up in London, England, in about 4 minutes, and was delivered to the U.S. ambassador there within an hour. Murray says this is a lot better than the Post Office or Western Union can do, and maintains facsimile has a big future.
I think first-class mail as we know it today is finished. The United States Post Office as a media of communication is finished. And I believe that by 1990, this transmission that we made today, which is facsimile transmission, I think those facsimile machines will be as common in every household as a toaster or a television or a telephone.
Tom Murray intends to see next week whether his facsimile transmission will work and will sell. He's going to install some machines at the Democratic Convention in Miami Beach for press use. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News, on the move.
Because at last the Russians really are coming. I signed contracts this morning to have Moscow Dynamo visit us in August. They will start the tour at Dallas against the reigning champions of the North American Soccer League, and they will finish on August the 30th against what I sincerely hope will then be the new champions of the North American Soccer League, the New York Cosmos in New York.
Ron Newman here.
Mr. Ron Newman there.
When does the Russian season begin?
There is a break in the Russian season during the time of their tour because of the Olympic Games.
Oh.
So the season is on now. They will be playing a league game in Moscow on August 13th.
August 13th.
They'll come down to you straight from a league game, very fit and at the top of their form.
That's what I was worried about.
This is Lamar Hunt in Dallas. The question was, does the Moscow team have any players on the Olympic team?
Sorry, I didn't hear that one. They have had something like 9 of their players playing for the Olympic team. And of course, as you know, every Soviet Union player is, in a sense, an amateur, in that all Iron Curtain athletes are amateurs. There's just one thing Mr. Lance has just whispered to me. They have altogether the Dynamo program throughout the Soviet Union. You know, there are Dynamo teams in many cities. Moscow Dynamo, Kiev Dynamo, the biggest two regional pairs. Altogether, they have 7 million soccer players registered, and we are going to be seeing the best 16 or 18 of a farm system, which, quite frankly, staggers my imagination.
7 million in the country or 7 million in the Dynamo organization?
7 million in the total Dynamo organization.
Is there any way we can cancel the game?
Well, the Trans was started in the early 1900s. It was originally designed as a cluster of country clubs getting together to have an annual tournament amongst themselves, and since then it's grown to the place that it is today in amateur golf. I think it's probably next to the National Amateur, the most prestigious amateur tournament that we have in the country today.
I also understand that we have some guys who are now members of the Pro Tour at one time or another has played here in the Transmits.
Yes, we must have about 25 champions or runner-ups on the tour who have played here. And I would say that probably 85% of the top college players that have played in our tournament are now on the tour.
The elected officials in Tarrant County have said they don't have enough control over their employees, the selection of their employees, under the civil service statute as set up for Tarrant County. That is sort of diametrically opposed to what civil service is for, isn't it?
Yes, Jerry, and I believe this is just a little bit of apprehension on the part of these officials. These rules have only recently been drawn up, and many of the individuals making these complaints had not thoroughly read and possibly do not understand these rules, because in my opinion and the opinion of others involved, that these rules are explicit.
Mrs. John Rollins is worried about her neighborhood. It's being threatened by progress. Her home is just a couple of miles northeast of downtown Dallas on Swiss Avenue in an area known as Munger Place, developed in the early part of the century. Dallas's palaces lined these streets during their golden days, but now times have changed. A block over from Swiss on Gaston Avenue, apartments and boarding houses stand where yesterday's castles stood. Mrs. Rollins and her neighbors are afraid the Swiss Parkway, as they know it, will disappear.
When we bought this home, we planned to live in it the rest of our lives, and of course we didn't anticipate then that it would ever be business or apartments or anything like that. And I really don't know if that would have happened. Well, if it happened to the place where it wasn't pleasant to live here, I mean, but that didn't have neighbors and lots of traffic and things like that, I don't think I would be as happy as
The City Planning Commission thinks Swiss Avenue should be preserved. Citing the street's fine examples of early 20th century architecture, the commission proposes to zone this area historical, which would be a Dallas first. An ordinance to that effect should go before the City Council sometime this fall. Don Swofford of the Planning Commission visited Mrs. Rollins to explain what historical zoning would mean to the future of Swiss.
Essentially what we're talking about is, by ordinance, declaring a boundary around Swiss Avenue, which would be subject to review by a committee. This committee would be empowered, or let's say indutied with the objective to keep Swiss Avenue preserved just like it is from a historical point of view.
The idea of preserving these blocks and these homes from Dallas past strikes the romantic fancy of most. But for the people living here, the chance for preservation means more. It's a chance to ensure that they can spend their days here with their memories of the golden age of Swiss Avenue. Arch Campbell, Channel 8 News on the Move, on the Swiss Avenue Parkway in Old East Dallas.